No one in the family stood up for Chloe the night that meeting turned into a public trial. The most painful part was not the accusations. It was the fact that everyone had already decided who would take the blame long before the meeting even began. Inside the conference room of the Bennett family furniture business near Nashville, the air felt heavy enough to suffocate. Financial reports were scattered across the table. Months of losses had left everyone worried. Harold Bennett sat at the head of the table. His face was grim. Diane Bennett remained silent with her arms crossed. Mason Bennett kept shaking his head as if he were deeply disappointed in his younger sister. Then every eye in the room turned toward Chloe. According to Mason, it was her ideas for change that had driven customers away. It was her vision of online sales that had disrupted the company's traditional business model. No one mentioned that Mason was the one who had signed a series of disastrous contracts. No one mentioned the reckless spending he had deliberately hidden. Chloe sat quietly. In that moment, she realized a painful truth. Her family was not interested in finding the real cause of the problem. They simply needed someone to blame. At the far end of the table sat Tyler Reed. The man who had once promised to build a future with her now lowered his head and avoided her gaze. That moment sent a chill through Chloe's heart. Everything she had once believed in began to fall apart. When the meeting ended, Harold announced that Chloe should step away from helping run the company for a while. No one objected. No one asked her to stay. That night, Chloe quietly packed her belongings. Her old car left town just before dawn. Behind her was the family she had spent her whole life trying to please. Ahead of her was a future she could not see. What no one in that house realized was that they had just pushed away the only person who could have saved the business that was slowly sinking beneath them. The first months after leaving Nashville were the hardest period of Chloe Bennett's life. Charlotte did not welcome her with opportunity. It welcomed her with bills, sleepless nights, and a loneliness that seemed to stretch endlessly. The first apartment Chloe rented sat above an aging storefront. Summers were unbearably hot. Winters were bitterly cold. Some weeks she counted every dollar just to make sure the rent was paid on time. During the day, she worked for small local businesses. At night, she took on freelance digital marketing projects to earn extra income. Whenever exhaustion threatened to overwhelm her, her mind drifted back to that meeting. She remembered the disappointment in her father's eyes. She remembered her mother's silence. And most of all, she remembered what it felt like to be cast aside by her own family. Then one day, Chloe met Ethan Brooks. He owned a small e-commerce company that was barely surviving. Unlike everyone else, Ethan never asked why she had left her hometown. He asked only one question. If you could start over from the beginning, what would you do differently? Chloe answered with every idea her family had once laughed at. For the first time in years, someone truly listened. The two began working together. The early months were filled with setbacks. Campaign after campaign failed to deliver results. Clients came and went, but neither of them gave up. Slowly, things began to change. A local furniture brand suddenly saw its sales explode after implementing Chloe's strategy. Then another company succeeded. Then another. Within just a few years, Ethan's small business had grown into a respected brand known throughout the region. Meanwhile, back in Nashville, the Bennett family still believed Chloe was struggling somewhere far away. No one knew that the daughter they had once treated as a burden had become a woman whose success exceeded anything they had ever imagined. And no one knew that a major event was quietly pulling her back toward the place where everything had begun. The invitation to Harold and Diane Bennett's 45th wedding anniversary arrived in early autumn. Chloe held the card in her hands for a long time. Many years had passed since the day she left Nashville. Many wounds had slowly healed. But the memory of what happened in that conference room remained as vivid as ever. In the end, she decided to return. The celebration was held at an elegant lakeside restaurant. When Chloe walked in alongside Ethan Brooks, the conversations around the room gradually began to fade. Many people barely recognized her. The woman they had once viewed as a failure now carried herself with a calm confidence they had never seen before. Mason forced a smile. Harold looked noticeably older after his recent health struggles. Diane kept avoiding her daughter's gaze. Dinner unfolded beneath a layer of awkward silence. No one mentioned the past. No one mentioned the family business standing on the edge of collapse. Then the doors to the banquet hall opened. A man in a suit entered carrying a folder. He walked directly toward the Bennett family's table. The room slowly fell silent. Harold opened the folder. His hands trembled slightly. His eyes moved quickly across the pages before suddenly stopping. The confusion on his face turned into disbelief. The entire debt has been paid off. He spoke the words almost in a whisper. No one understood what was happening. Diane rose from her chair. Mason sat frozen. The financial representative looked around the table before speaking calmly. The person who settled every outstanding debt was Miss Chloe Bennett. The air seemed to freeze. At that exact moment, a longtime former employee of the company stepped forward. He placed an old letter from Chloe's late grandfather on the table. Inside was a single truth the family had ignored for years. The one person he had trusted to protect the future of the family had never been Mason. It had always been Chloe. For the first time in years, no one could find a single word to argue. Because the daughter they had blamed for everything had become the only person capable of saving them all.